In a scale from 1 to 10, how good do you think it's the level of education in Mexico?
I think it's level number 7.
I think that's 6.
I would give it a 4 because I think the educational system in Mexico it's very deficient and obsolete.
4.
Well, I think it's 7.
5.
Is between 6 and 7.
6. 8. 3.
Because unfortunately, only private schools have the resources to make their students have a better education. That is, all the lack of resources in government schools to modernize the system that are implementing so far.
In Mexico.
7.
Why?
Well, I think that just few schools have take the importance about their job and teach the students with the best tools, and others just want to get paid.
I think that 5 because the teachers didn't have the ability to teach to the children a lot of topics.
I would put 6.
And why?
Why?
Uh-huh.
Because I think that, well, first I want to separate public education from private education. When we talk about public education in the elementary and high school level, the education is subjected to this political problem with the teachers syndicates, and from my perspective the content of the education is not really up to date, and the techniques, the pedagogic techniques, I don't know if that word exists in English, I think that are quite obsolete. And the same situation happens a little bit in the private sector, but when we talk about the private sector, we can see that actually it's much more reliable education in that sector.
Well, I think that the level of education in Mexico is approximately a number 5 for me, because in the public education, students they don't have a lot of access, and the access that they have is not very good level. So I think it's really poor here in the system of Mexico.
5 because the percent of people with bad education is higher than the one with good education.
It's difficult to answer that because we have different situations in this country. So, for example, in Mexico City we have one of the greatest levels of education, and in the south we have the highest. So depends. If I have to make just a number, it will be maybe 6.
I think it's a 7 because the government needs to invest more resources for education.
If you were named Secretario de Educación Federal, what would you change about the educational system?
Well, I think that there are a lot of things to change in the system, but most of all, I think that the most important thing is to expand education to all the cities and villages that they don't even have the education. And something that I'll improve is obviously the English, and try to make a better system in all mathematics, Spanish, and history, the cultural history that nowadays is really important, and that we really need to change the country with all these facts.
I will change the school programs and the things that are in the school to make it more interactive and to make the students want to go to class every day.
I think it's a really big problem in Mexican education, but I will start changing the education that a teacher gets before getting with the child.
Would take advantage of the budget that is destined to education because Mexico is one of the countries with the biggest amount of budget.
The selection of teachers.
I think that all the teachers who didn't care about the education of the students.
If I were Secretaria de Gobierno, I wouldn't steal the budget of the education of Mexico.
I will give more scholarships to the children.
I would change teachers and system.
I will change history because if you don't know about history, you're going to repeat the same mistakes.
First, teaching, because currently use much technology, but we see that children at the elementary level, when they have a research, they just copy from the internet, but they don't read like before. We have to read several books to summary, and with this we can understand what we are looking for.
Well, I think I changed the way that they teach us, and also the technology that we use, and also the ideas that they have how to educate people.
The way we evaluate our professors and also the hours that the student pass in school.
I will modernize. I will apply more to the public system because the private system has the resources to modernize their systems because they don't share it with the SEP. Also, college or high school level have nothing in common with the SEP. In public schools, they are very attached to concepts and have no relation to the evolution of society.
I would change that elementary school focus on the understanding and not the memorizing tools, and teach the children how to apply their knowledge for a better world.
Which system?
I would change it completely. I think that the reform that was established, somehow it's important. It's important to have to grade the teachers, to train the teachers, and I would keep that, but I wouldn't start from that point. I would make a complete re-establishment of the contents.
I think I will change the way that teachers teach. Like, I will modernize the system in a sense.
Okay, we have to understand something. We have different needs. I mean, we have one part of the population who lives in the city, and also we have native person who doesn't speak English, sorry, Spanish, who speak their own languages. So we need education for them too. We don't have to have just one program to all the country. We have to make programs depend on the context of every person. So basically that, I think.
Which system do you think is better, private or public? I think the private, because private demand them more than they have to learn, because children learn in public schools, but teachers don't require them what they need compared with private schools. And how do you think it could improve public schools? That is what would lack. Demand more of them. For example, often they don't do it because they don't have the necessary resources for that the students can perform the work requested for them.
And why? I think private is better because the quality of the teachers is better, but it's too expensive.
And how could you improve the one that you didn't choose?
First of all, I would change all the bureaucracy in education. I would change the system as a whole because I think it's not a system that works for Mexican people. The educational system in Mexico it's like copied from other countries, and it's not a system that is specifically made for Mexicans.
I think private system because the students that pay for their education make their studies worth it.
I think private give you some facilities and good tools, but some public schools have good ideas and good teachers. And private schools, you can have more attention about your teachers, and I think the accessibility are easier.
Private because teachers are prepared, and I didn't choose public because I would change the systems and teachers.
And why?
Right now, with the situation, private, because the private education had alternatives and had more skills to the public systems. But we need to make the both be great or be be necessary for all the population.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
I think that private because the teachers get a better payment and they could be, I don't know, more efficient with the students that they are teaching.
Well, my opinion is going to be a little, no, not a little, very subjective because I work in the private sector and I know how the private sector works, and this is not a generalization because there are private schools that really suck because they are just like business and they just want to have students in order to have money. What I can say is about universities like this one, Tec de Monterrey, or schools like Anahuac or Ibero, where yeah, having money is relevant because it's important to keep the school running, but I really
Private schools have more advantage because you position it more in work area. That is, the companies value the school you work from. You have greater possibility to be a scholarship or work there. But people who want to get ahead don't need a private school. They just need the desire. And there are many guys who stand out from public schools, but they need to be self-study in many things. Modernizing improve the system and make that teachers don't follow the tradition. That is, having an academic commitment, love their profession, and help new generation to get ahead. Don't show apathy in front of their students.
And why?
I think that private because the teachers that teach in private schools are more prepared.
And how you could improve that one you didn't choose?
With capacitation for the teachers.
Private, because I think the teachers are best qualified and also the system is different.
Unfortunately, I think the private one is better because if you're going in a private school, you can learn so much more. You have opportunities to learn more language, and obviously the teachers, they have more preparation and they will teach the students in a very different way with more technological tools, such as in poor schools. They don't have these opportunities, even if they have access to the internet. Some of them.
And how can you improve the one that you didn't choose?
How to improve the public education? Well, as I already said, I think it's really important to try to achieve the education for everyone and try to give courses to the teachers in order for them to be more capable to help the students to have more knowledge and to show them more techniques, because children can learn the same way. There are people that are learning through videos and other people that are learning through songs or through material or with work. So we really need to change the way that kids are learning in order for them to develop another skills and obviously learn more about all the topics that are important.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think private is better because talking about teachers, they have another way to think about how to teach the students. Also, technology, the resources, the classroom are really better than the public school.
Private because the teachers are more prepared, and I would better the other one because
No, porque también
improving the quality of education of the teachers.
I will choose private education because it has more quality.
I think private schools are better because they receive the attention, the necessary attention to improve a lot of activities and things to the childhood that the public schools doesn't do.
The private one, and I will change the level of the teachers.